The Heisei era of the Godzilla franchise would have its finale in Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, yet there were many other story proposals with interesting concepts that were considered. And even though the film is 27 years old, we are still learning of these drafts and proposals. So for today, let's take a look at one of the more recently rediscovered ideas with Godzilla vs. Cyber City. In 1994, after Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, in preparation for the next film, a proposal tournament was held for Koichi Kawakida's assistant directors to see who could come up with the best idea for the next entry into the franchise. Yosuke or Yo Nakano was the author of 3 of these proposals, including today's feature, Godzilla vs. Cyber City. For the latter part of the Heisei era, from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 through vs. Destoroyah, G-Force would be the group responsible for protecting Japan from the threat of Godzilla and other kaiju. Faced with a Godzilla of immense power and threats like Space Godzilla and Destoroyah, they would build advanced ships like the Garuda and the Super X-3, and massive robot kaiju like Mogera and Mechagodzilla. For Godzilla vs. Cyber City, G-Force would take on another large-scale project in the depths of an uninhabited mountain in Japan. There they would build an enormous fortified city called Rossum, designed with the sole purpose of destroying Godzilla. Here they could fight the Big G without holding back due to worries of collateral damage. The Cyber City had various mechanisms that were designed to slow and eventually stop Godzilla's movement, where its state-of-the-art weaponry could finish him off. But Cyber City would not be Godzilla's only opponent here. Before writing the story, Yo said he'd learned from Koichi Kawakida to come up with the foe to Godzilla first and the story to follow, which would lead Mr. Nakano to come up with Genocide Jaguar, a play on the JJ of Jet Jaguar from the Showa era's Godzilla vs. Megalon, where Yo accidentally thought that genocide was spelled with a J. The robot would be a dark version of Jet Jaguar in design, and there was concept art created for Genocide Jaguar, but unfortunately none of it to date has been released. But how would Genocide Jaguar fit into the plot? Well, Rossum, or the Cyber City, would be controlled by an advanced artificial intelligence system, but it went out of control, and its lead scientist and creator mysteriously disappeared, forcing the project to be shut down. The base was then sealed away underground, and the entire area was marked as off-limits. But now Godzilla is raging once more, so a special forces unit from G-Force decides to revive the fortress to stop the Big G. While preparing and planning for the mission, they uncover the mystery of the lead scientist's disappearance when they find an android. The android, a female, was also part of the Cyber City project. It turns out that her brain was needed to properly control Rossum. However, the lead scientist would feel bad for the android, thinking that either physically or metaphorically, the android has developed a human heart and he doesn't want her to be forced to do battle with Godzilla. To save her, he allowed the system to lose control and disappeared with the android in the chaos. But the team is able to earn the trust of the android, convincing her of the damage that Godzilla will bring. Because of this, she decides to rebel against the scientist's wishes and bring the base online once more to stop the King of the Monsters. The team then breaks through the base's defenses, making their way to the center of the city where they can access the AI. Once the android gains control over the AI, she then merges with the huge computer unit like a component, losing her human form and becoming Genocide Jaguar. The team members who have befriended the android aren't sure about this sudden change from android to Genocide Jaguar until they learn that she still retains her sense of humanity. Now looking to confront Godzilla, she lures him in by sending out an electronic sound wave. It works, and the final battle ensues. With the full arsenal of the Cyber City at her control, Genocide Jaguar unleashes a devastating assault on Godzilla. Seeing an opportunity, or perhaps realizing that the city may not be able to kill Godzilla, she holds him at bay and locks the city down, sacrificing herself to plunge Godzilla and the city back down into the depths of the earth. The area is then filled in with lava as the city, Godzilla, and Genocide Jaguar are all sealed away underground. With the threat now handled, the world would return to normal. But deep in the confines of the subterranean darkness, the King of the Monsters still lives, and his return is only a matter of time. Toho Kingdom, who spoke with Mr. Nakano on the projects, would note that the idea was created a year before the release of Neon Genesis Evangelion, and 20 years before the anime Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle, so any similarities between Rossum, Tokyo 3, and Mechagodzilla City are coincidental. Though Wikizilla notes that Godzilla vs. Cyber City could be tied to another unused idea, Godzilla vs. the Asuka Fortress, a project meant to restart the franchise after Terror of Mechagodzilla. The Asuka Fortress was a mobile supercomputer of mountainous size that could create various robots, including a Godzilla-sized one called Titan. In fact, John LeMay would mention in his book, The Big Book of Japanese Monster Movies, The Lost Films, that an Asuka Fortress film may have still been in the works well into the 90s as the third Heisei film after Godzilla vs. Biollante, bringing the ideas closer together. To be fair, I also got strong Autobot City vibes from Transformers the movie when reading about Cyber City, or even Metroplex, who would famously battle a Trypticon, the Godzilla of the Transformers universe. According to Yo, some inspiration for the city's defenses was taken from the buildings with their Typhoon Devastators that were featured in the Showa era's Destroy All Monsters. And the electronic sound wave generated by Genocide Jaguar to lure Godzilla in is actually a more refined version of the one created by Dr. Makoto Hayashida for the Return of Godzilla. And the Cyber City, or Rossum, was called so in reference to the robots from the 1920 play RUR, or Rossum's Universal Robots. For RUR, we learn of a factory that is making artificial people. They are called robots, but they're more like androids as they are made from synthetic organic matter. They can be mistaken for humans and they're able to think for themselves, but by the play's end, they revolt and kill off the human race, a Terminator-like story that's over 100 years old. In order to keep continuity with the other films of the era, Yo hoped to carry over actors in either G-Force or other roles, but in the end, even though he liked the idea, he admitted that it was all just too complicated for a Godzilla film. What are your thoughts on Godzilla vs. Cyber City? I want to give out a special thanks to Toho Kingdom, Wikizilla, as well as John LeMay for their information on these unused projects. And I'd also like to thank you guys for watching. Your likes, shares, comments, and subscriptions go a long way towards helping the channel grow. Take care, and I hope to see you next time.